Hi, my name's Prumihimo and this video is all about making a bit of a statement. Now, my speciality is making jewellery with kumihimo, and beaded kumihimo typically would involve quite small beads. But sometimes you want to make a bit more of a statement. So this video is going to be about making a necklace using larger beads, and by larger I mean something in the region of 8 to 10 millimeters. This design will work for beads of much smaller and much larger as well, but that's what I have used here, or in this case I've used some drops. The great advantage of this design is that it's quite sparing in its use of your beads. So if you're using something like these massive great pearls, you can make 2 necklaces out of a strand, possibly 3 necklaces. And that is quite a consideration, because why would you put those great big pearls around the back of your neck when you could have a really comfortable and really attractive kumihimo braid that can be tailor-made, choosing just the right colours to bring out the qualities of that pearl or gemstone. So this video is about 3 stages. So stage 1 is making the focal section. Stage 2 is about attaching the braid, and then the third part of this project is about finishing off, and I have videos to cover that, whether you want to do the glued-on method or whether you want to do the wired-on method. You will need to have some wire working tools and some equipment, so now I'm going to show you exactly what you need. To make this design, you will need the following materials and equipment. You'll need a standard set of pliers, and that needs to include cutters, round nose pliers and flat nose pliers. You'll also need to use crimping pliers. You need 2 crimps, 2 crimp covers, a selection of beads. An odd number is better than an even number. You may wish to have some spacers because that can stretch out more expensive beads. You will need to have some cord to make your kumihimo with. I have used 8 meters of satin cord 1 millimeter in diameter. You will also need some flexible beading wire. Now, this is the sort of beading wire that has multiple strands inside and a plastic coating and is used with crimps. And you need about 50 to 75 centimeters of that. And you will need some sort of clasp. You might want a glue-in one like this, or you might want a wire-on one, and the details of that are covered in separate videos. So let's get started. So start with your beading wire and thread on 1 crimp. Then loop the wire round and thread it back through. Now, this loop that you're making needs to be large enough to get 4 cords through. You don't want it too large because it would be ugly, but obviously if you make it too small you won't be able to get the cords through. So I think I'm happy with about that, yes. Now I'm going to crimp that. So I use my 2-stage crimping pliers. So first of all, I fold the crimp, bend it in the middle like that, and then I use the other section further up to just finally fold it over a second time. So it's a neat little crimp. Now I'm going to put on a crimp cover. These can be a little bit fiddly, and my advice is to go slowly with them. So just use your pliers, and rather than trying to shut them in one go, just do a series of gentle moves. Because if you slip, as I did there, you haven't done too much damage. Just a few gentle moves. Working your way round until you're happy with the way that has closed up, and you want to make a neat little bead out of it. There we go. So once you're happy with that, you can thread your beads on. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to thread a few on. So my first bead, I want to thread right to the bottom, and I want to tuck the spare tail of cord into it like that, so that I can trim that off at a later stage, and it's an extra security feature. Now I'm going to have a spacer. They have a life of their own sometimes, these beads. Then I'm going to pop on the next bead, another spacer, and the final bead. And I'm just going to leave that tail out, and I'm going to use my cutters to snip it off. So close to that bead, I can just snip off that tail, and then I have a neat finish. Now, at this end, I want to make another loop. So again, I thread on a crimp. I will let it pass down to close to the beads. Then I pass the wire through again. And I want that wire to go through that first bead. So now what I'm doing is just tightening it all up. Now I'm just going to make sure that first wire stayed in place. Tighten it all up, bring that crimp close, and now I want to just pull on the free cord. I want my second loop to be similar in size to my first loop, so a little trick for that is to pop the loop into your round nose pliers to see where it fits, and then I can put my second loop to the same, roughly the same position. So it's about halfway up. So if I put my round nose pliers in like that and then pull on the cord, I will have a loop that's similar, and I'm going to release it a tiny bit more because I need to put the crimp cover on, which will take up some space. So now I put the crimp cover on, and again this end it is definitely quite fiddly to do, but you just need to get it into position. And as I always say in jewellery making, a tight fit is a good fit. So when you've got it into position, in a series of smaller moves, manipulate it into shape. And then you can trim off that final tail. So now you have your focal section, however long you want it. Now we add the braids. Now you can take your satin cords. I suggest that for the first side you take 4 lengths of 1 meter. Now this is likely to be too much, but you need to be able to measure up against yourself or against a bust to see what length you like, and then you can adjust the quantities for the second side. But a meter of times 4 will give you plenty to play with. So put all those cords through that loop and center the loop on the cords. Mine are much shorter, obviously, for demonstration purposes. Now you can put your focal point through the hole in the middle and position your cords on the disc on either side of the dots in the north, south, east and west positions. There we go. And then I hope you've followed my video showing you how to do round braid or Congo gumi, because that's what we're going to do on here. And with your first few moves, what will happen is your braid will be neatly attached to your focal point. So if we do our top down, bottom up, rotate, top down, bottom up, rotate, and so forth, you'll find that you get a really neat start to your braid. And what you need to do is continue braiding in that fashion. You're unlikely to need a weight in this situation because you've got the weight of the beads, but if your beads are quite light, you can attach a weight to the bottom of that focal section, and you just continue on until the braid is the correct length. Then all you need to do is remove it from the disc, tie it in a knot, and repeat the whole process on the other side so that you have a neatly attached braid on either side of your focal section. Thank you very much for watching that. I really appreciate your company. I hope you've enjoyed that technique, and now that you've learnt it, you could perhaps make a matching bracelet. Look at that. Same technique, just 3 beads and you've got a lovely bracelet. Great match and lots of fun. So if you like this sort of thing, if you like the sort of way I use my kumihimo, you might like to see some other videos, and you can find those by hitting the subscribe button, and then you'll be notified when I upload more, or just having a look through my Prumihimo YouTube channel, where I've now got lots of amazing videos showing you my little tricks and tips and how to have fun with your kumihimo. So thank you again for watching, and goodbye.